What's up everybody, Ninth Jim here, back with another VGC 2020 Pokemon Sword and Shield competitive video. Today, we're talking about Slurpuff, this fairy ice cream boy that is pretty cool, has some interesting things that it can do. It has Unburden, which is an amazing ability, doubling your speed whenever your held item is used. So we're using Psychic Seed or Weakness Policy if you want to be cheeky and use Hitmontop with priority, Bullet Punch, Steel type priority, activate the weakness policy. This Pokemon can then be a sweeper, which is really, really cool. So that's another build. That's another build idea we might do in the future. We might use it in a team battle at some point. I'm not entirely sure, but this Pokemon is really interesting and it's really cool. It did lose some power from past gens, losing Belly Drum, which is really unfortunate, but it is what it is. And excuse me. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So, fairy typing, mono fairy typing is pretty solid. You know, we have immunity to dragon, which is good. 3 resistances being fighting, bug, and dark. And then 2 weaknesses being poison and steel. Overall, pretty solid, which is pretty cool. You know, weakness is poison and steel. Poison wasn't very big, but now Venusaur is big, so now poison is a little bit bigger. And steel always being very prevalent in the game. You know, not the worst, you know, only having 2 weaknesses isn't too bad. Into our stats are pretty solid across the board. 82 HP is very good, and then defense 86 and special defense is 75. Very average, solid, just good defense across the board, which is really good. Attack 80 is pretty solid, special attack 85. Both are very average and pretty solid, you know, leaving a little bit to want, but nothing, you know, abysmal. You can still deal damage. Even without weakness policies or belly drum stats, you can still deal some damage. Not a lot, but it's there. And then speed 72, which is a very solid base speed, to double it. It's crazy. With 107 after our EVs, doubling that speed makes us outspeed just about everything. Very relevant in the game, and that's pretty awesome. So let's get into the build itself. So, ability, Unburden. I've talked about how powerful doubling your speed is. Anything doubling your speed is crazy. We see Sandrush, Excadrill. We see Venusaur, Chlorophyll. We even saw Chlorophyll, Vileplume, Chlorophyll, Lilligant in the past. A lot of really good, powerful Pokemon that just double their speed and then are amazing. And that is really cool, and that's what we're focusing on today. As far as our item goes, for this main build that we're talking about is Psychic Seed. Whenever Psychic Terrain is active, you eat it, and then you go 1.5 times special defense. This is pretty cool. It makes your bulk a little bit better. Partnering with things like Indeedee, both male or female, both being very solid to pair Psychic Seed with is really cool. Male gets Trick Room Imprison, so you can imprison Trick Room and make Slurpuff just the fastest thing on the field, which is pretty cool, especially since Trick Room is very popular right now, taking big tournaments, taking all over the ladder. You see it all over the ladder, ranked, everything about it. Trick Room is everywhere. So having an out to Trick Room on this team is pretty optimal. Into our actual moves. So right now our moveset is Dazzling Gleam and then Charm, Fake Tears, Cotton Spore. 3 support attacks, 1 regular attack. This I like. I think it's good. However, you can definitely opt to use Weakness Policy, a bunch of attacks. That's another really cool option that you can go. Weakness Policy, like I was saying, with Hitmontop being able to use Bullet Punch, proc your own Weakness Policy. However, it's just kind of scary because of all the Follow Me. You know, we have Togekiss, most popular Pokemon in the entire meta. The highest on the usage charts. So it's pretty hard to get through that boy because it's just going to redirect our attack, and then we don't get to activate our weakness policy, and then we don't have support moves. So that's unfortunate as well. But for this build, we kind of like it. It's pretty cool. So Charm is good at -2 attacks. Any Pokemon, this is very strong against popular things like Tyranitar, Excadrill, hitting big, good Pokemon. This Pokemon doesn't have Prankster, so being fast, we're very fast, so we activate all of our moves like before most Pokemon, but we aren't immune to you know, like dark Pokemon don't immune us, so we can still hit things like Tyranitar with Charm, which is really good, especially those weakness policy procced Pokemon, things like Mudsdale with Own Tempo, Swagger, you know, Belly Drum, Snorlax, these big Pokemon in the meta, we can just Charm and boom, you're a normal Pokemon now, which is really cool. Fake Tears is an amazing attack as well, being able to lower the target's special defense by 2, making your Pokemon really strong. You can use things like Togekiss. The Indeedee that you pair with is really really strong, you know, having an insane special attack stat, and then with the fake tears, or having a good special attack stat, fake tears -2, and then also stab, and then also psychic terrain. You're just stacking buff on buff on buff and making Indeedee deal a lot of damage, which is really, really cool. So I like that as an option as well. And then we have Cotton Spore, which lowers the target's speed by 2. This is pretty good. It can just reverse Tailwind completely. You can even do some really cheeky stuff. Set your own Trick Room, lower your guy's speed by 2. That's cool. Probably not that good, like probably too gimmicky, but a cool idea indeed, and I think that's cool. So yeah, those are some good attacks. Other things that we have, a couple more support moves. We have Calm Mind, which is really good. You can definitely run this Pokemon with the Psychic Seeds still, and then run Calm Mind in a couple of attacks. Calm Mind 2 attacks, Calm Mind 3 attacks, and a support move. Or Calm Mind 3 attacks, Calm Mind 2 attacks, and a support move. Something like that. I think that could be really good as well. And then we also have access to Safeguard, which is very good. We've seen that on a couple of random teams. Things like the Mudsdale Swagger on tempo so that it doesn't get burned, and it just deals an insane amount of damage the entire game. That's another really good option. So Safeguard is cool. And then a bunch of attacks. This Pokemon's special attacking spread is actually very good. Has a lot of good coverage moves with things like Energy Ball, Psychic, Flamethrower, Surf, Thunderbolt, all types of colors, all types of attacks from the rainbow, all types of attacks. Really good. A lot of coverage. We can really attack every Pokemon for super effective if we need to. And this Pokemon can really fit a lot of coverage that you don't have on your team without it. So that's really cool as well. So into our stats. So investments, this is the most used on Pikalytics. I will go ahead and say that, but with good reasoning. So 116 EVs into speed lets us get to 107. After doubling, we're at 214. This lets us outspeed things like Dragapult. A lot of really common Pokemon. The only things that really outspeed us are Scarved Pokemon and a couple of things that double, things like Venusaur, which is a really unfortunate one, and also Excadrill, which is also a very unfortunate one. We could definitely go more into attack or more into speed, but then we're taking out of our defenses, and then we're dying to all of those Pokemon anyway, so I might as well just, be able to hit it once, potentially Cotton Spore, attack it with your partner, and then killing it the next turn because they're very slow now. That's just an option, just an idea that we can do. Cotton Spore is very, very strong. I think is good. So yeah, that's the reasoning on the speed. And then as far as defense and HP, we just want to be as bulky as possible. So max into HP, and then the rest after that speed and HP into defense, and then giving it bold nature just so we're as strong as or as defensive as possible, physically bulky as possible, which is very, very good. We just want to be able to tank attacks, put out some good support, and then just be cleared for takeoff. So that's kind of the idea around that. Anyway, that's going to be it for the actual build itself. We'll go ahead and talk about some synergies real quick, and then we'll get into speed tiers and damage calcs and single spotlight. So synergies, we have Indeedee, both Indeedees. This just covers our Psychic Seed, activating Unburden. Same with Hitmontop, it just hits our weakness policy. Activating our weakness policy, activating Unburden, making us double as fast and double as strong, which is good. Both of those are really cool, solid synergies. However, with the Hitmontop, you just have to be careful because of Togekiss being so prevalent in the meta, and that's something you have to worry about. Our last one here is Chandelure. It has Imprisoned Trick Room, which is good. Like we were saying, we don't want to be outsped by Trick Room Pokemon because that's just obnoxious, you know what I'm saying? So it's cool to be able to imprison Trick Room, just stop that. This Pokemon also benefits from Fake Tears, can cover our Poison and Steel weaknesses pretty well, as the most relevant Poison Pokemon is also Grass, and the most relevant Steel Pokemon die to fire. So that's pretty cool. So Chandelure is a good option as well, just to cover our weaknesses, which is cool, and also stop Trick Room, which is also very cool. So that's going to be it for this slide. We're going to go ahead and jump into some speed tiers. So here we are way up here at 214. This is a very, very solid speed to be at. We outspeed things like the Dragapult, Inteleon, Whimsicott, Durant, which are very, very prevalent Pokemon. All very good, very fast, very commonly known as fast Pokemon. Slurpuff just outs all of them, outspeeds all of them, which is really, really good. Things like the Durant are still going to kill us, but we get to attack first, potentially using something like Charm on the Durant, unless they have redirection. But Charm the Durant is very, very, very strong. Very good. Don't charm Dragapult because most likely it'll be Clear Body and that would suck, so don't do that. Be careful of Dragapult. We outspeed it initially, and Dazzling Gleam deals a pretty good heaping amount of damage. I think at 2 shots, which is very, very good without any investments. Things that do outspeed us, however, is Scarf Vanillix, Scarf Form Change Rotom, Scarf Galarian Darmanitan, Scarf Hydreigon. Are you kind of seeing the pattern here? You have to Scarf this to be able to outspeed this Pokemon. You have to have some kind of thing that doubles to outspeed this Pokemon. That's really the only way of doing it. Excadrill, Sand Rush. Venusaur is not on this list, but Venusaur, Chlorophyll will be outspeeding us as well. Usually hitting that 226, I think, or 236. I don't remember offhand. But it outspeeds us. So, yeah, those are the 2 most relevant Pokemon that outspeed us. You know, Hydreigon outspeeding us is kind of unfortunate since we do a lot of damage against it with Dazzling Gleam, but it is what it is. All of these Pokemon, essentially they have to Scarf to be outspeeding. Although most of the Pokemon in front of us, you know, Hydreigon, Galarian, Darmanitan, Rotom about 50% of the time, Vanillix about 50% of the time, all are commonly used with Scarf. So those Pokemon will be commonly faster than us, which is pretty annoying, but it is what it is. So yeah, that's for speed tiers. On to our damage calcs. So most of these are just like, we live that. Cool. So first off, Dynamaxed, Adamant, Max Invested, Life Orb, Excadrill. Did you hear all those stacks? So many things stacking onto that. Max Steel Spike from this insanely buff Excadrill hits 76 to 90%, guaranteed 2-hit KO. If it's Sand Rush, it outspeeds us, so we can't charm it. But if it's Mold Breaker, we will always be outspeeding it, so we can charm it, and then it does half of that damage. We can guaranteed live 2 attacks from an Excadrill, max attacks from Life Orb, max invested Excadrill if we charm. This is really, really strong. The next one we have is Dynamaxed Venusaur, max invested, max ooze, hits 31 to 38%. This is with our +1 from our Psychic Seed, so this guarantees that we live 2 attacks from Venusaur, which is very, very strong. If we charm the Excadrill, we live 2 attacks. If we get attacked by a Venusaur, we live 2 attacks. This is really, really solid. That means we get a good bit of mileage off this Pokemon before it faints, which is very, very good. Dynamaxed, weakness policy activated, max invested, Tyranitar, max Rockfall. Feels like a tongue twister saying it, but it's so many things. It's weakness policy, so it's +2, max invested, adamant nature, max Rockfall, most damage that Tyranitar will realistically be doing. Hits guaranteed 2-hit KO, 58 to 68%. We can hit a charm on this Pokemon, and then we're living guaranteed 2 attacks from this Pokemon as well. Charm is really good. Are you picking that up? Charm is a good attack, and I really, really like it. Next, we have Max Airstream from Togekiss, max invested, into our boy Slurpuff. We also are +1 from the Psychic Seed. 90% chance to 4-hit KO. That means we live 3 attacks from the max invested Togekiss. If we activate its weakness policy, then we live 1, maybe 2 attacks, but don't activate its weakness policy. If it only attacks 3 times, if you don't put up something else that it wants to attack, it's just going to attack your guy and then waste their Dynamax. You can come in later with your Dynamax and potentially finish off the game. This is really good. Slurpuff is really, really bulky, actually, which is really cool. Next, we have Dazzling Gleam into an Incineroar. This sucks. You know, 12 to 14% possible 8-hit KO. This Pokemon also has access to Parting Shot and Snarl. If we're at the end of the game and this Pokemon, this is our matchup, just scoop. Like, this is really unfortunate. Incineroar is a bad matchup, even though we have a super effective attack against it. We just don't do much damage. They're insanely bulky, has a great move pool. It can fake out to waste one of our turns and do about the same amount of damage as we do with a Dazzling Gleam with a fake out. Incineroar is a bad matchup. Nothing else I can say about that. It just sucks. Dazzling Gleam into Conkeldurr. This is with Assault Vest. Guaranteed 4-hit KO, 25 to 30%. This is actually very solid on this Pokemon since, you know, there's a lot of other attacks that you can do that can hit it that 60 to 75% and then finish it off with a Dazzling Gleam. Really cool. And this is double targeting. If it's single targeting, I think it'll do like 35 to 45%, which is pretty good. So yeah, damage calcs, not too bad overall. We're pretty bulky. We can live a good bit of attacks, even super effective stab max moves we can live, which is very, very cool. On to our single spotlight, the last slide that I have. This Pokemon, I don't see it being very used in singles. I don't think it's very good. Now that we lost Belly Drum, that's a big thing that this Pokemon did have. However, if you were to play it, I'd still use Unburden, still use Citrus Berry. You can use Citrus Berry, maybe Sash if you want to, and then it activates after a hit or two. I'm using Citrus Berry because a lot of things will not hit it down to its Sash, and then you won't activate your Unburden. So we're going with Citrus Berry just so that halfway through your guy, you heal up a little, and then you double speed, which is very, very strong. Moves, we have Play Rough and Drain Punch. We're going physical with this build just so we can get the max amount of damage out of Adamant, max attack. We're hitting Play Rough and Drain Punch, which is really, really good. Drain Punch, heal up a little bit. Play Rough, 90 accuracy, so be a little cautious with that, but still doing a lot of damage. Stab, doing pretty solid damage. Then we're also using Sticky Web and Wish. We just want to set some hazards, make Pokemon very slow with Sticky Web, and then set up Wish for a little bit of heal, which is pretty good. I like this Pokemon. I think it's cool. I don't think it's really good in singles, but I think it's promising in VGC, which is actually pretty cool. Into our investments, we have HP 124, Speed 132, and Attack 252 plus, giving that adamant nature of plus attack minus special attack since we're not using special attack in this build. I like this Pokemon. I think it's cool, but not very great in singles. I've said that a few times. Anyway, this is just the most common used spread on Pikalytics. Sorry, I keep doing that. I know it's the lazy way, but I've never used this Pokemon. I'm not a singles player, so do what you will. If you want to play this Pokemon in singles, try it. Give it a try, but if it's not that good, don't worry about it. It's not that great in singles, but I do think it's promising in doubles. So that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this kind of content, leave a like and subscribe. It means so much to me. I think Slurpuff is pretty cool in VGC, definitely usable. Pretty low tier, definitely, I'll give it that much, but it has a cool matchup against a lot of Pokemon. It has a bad matchup on paper against a lot of Pokemon, but with Charm and good investments, this Pokemon can actually live a lot of attacks against a lot of things and set up for a lot of really annoying support across the board and making Pokemon pretty much useless. And if you bring this Pokemon in late game, you set up Charm, boom, you're good. Charm is really good. That's pretty much the basis of this build, is Charm is really good. And Cotton Spore is cool, and Fake Tears is cool, and Dazzling Gleam deals a little bit of damage, but you want to deal a little bit of damage with this Pokemon every now and again. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, so thank you so much for watching, and have a good evening, or whatever time zone it is currently. Have a good portion of that time zone, or entirety of that time zone. Have a good rest of your time zone. Thank you so much for watching, and bye.